She told the story in her autobiography. So that's my little Lucy story for today. But for the first time, well, actually, it's not the first time because I did do an interview with the wonderful Sandra Rogers with her book, Inviting the Queen. But this is my first time that I have a live guest. I want to introduce to you, here we go, the marvelous Tawni Acosta, who is a hypnotherapist, a life coach, a Reiki master, and she specializes with people in the LGBTQ community, plus professionals and the unique challenges that you face. And I might add that Tawni is a personal friend of mine. So this is a really exciting thing. And I'm just honored to have you here today, Tawni. And of course, you're launching. Have you launched your channel yet?
Not yet. But
Not yet, but you're going to.
How shall we say, quite imminent.
Quite eminent. And of course, that is Tawni Acosta's Empowered Journeys, correct? Well, what would you like to tell us about this?
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me in your house and on your show.
Yeah.
Hello to everybody out there. I think it's, we all have our unique voyage that brings us to where we're going. And so, my voyage is, I'm a transgender woman.
Yes.
And my transitional journey took me, before I transitioned, I worked in technology. I was a project manager. So it's kind of pretty dry stuff in some ways. And as I transitioned, my needs and my abilities and what I could do totally changed. And so what I began to find is like this tremendous sense of empathy and understanding of people. And I originally thought I'd go into being a traditional therapist, like a LMFT or a Psych D. And my friend who is a traditional therapist talked me out of it.
I'm glad.
Yes.
Because you have a gift for what you do. I've known you, I don't know how many years now, because we have our friendship with the wonderful Dr. Whimsy Anderson. She's the one who brought us together. So I think I've known you maybe 7 years. Is that about right?
That's about
right. But so I've known you as you were in the midst of your transition.
Yes.
But I also know your personal story.
Sure.
I know how brave you are. Courageous, but more importantly, how empathetic you are. And so when I learned that you had gone in this direction, I was just beyond thrilled, because I know how many people are going to benefit from what you have that is so unique. You have your history that's unlike anyone else's. And
it's interesting because there's so many subjects that I can speak into, but specifically I'm working within the LGBTQ plus community, or LGBTQ plus people who are professionals and facing some of the unique challenges that they might face in the workplace, or maybe challenges maybe from family, challenges with, a lot of old thoughts, a lot of old thinking.
Yes.
That may actually unknowingly hold people back. We all have that. I have that. So a lot of times when I work with people, one is holding space, and then two, to be able to get into the root cause of issues that are really blocking them for where they want to go.
That's beautiful. That's almost the way, like Whimsy and I with naturopathic medicine, it's about getting to the root cause of what's behind something. So, I mean, this just has to be such a journey for you. I love the fact that you even call your channel Empowered Journeys, because I think all of these are journeys to themselves.
Yes.
Life stories.
And I don't know the name that's the name of my channel and my business. And I don't know where the name just came to me one day.
It's perfect.
And I talked with a friend and she goes, I love it. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So yes, and we've known each other for quite some time. And you've seen me go through my process.
Yes.
But I think, okay, gender transition has all these crazy things you have to go through, which are challenging and all that. But in another way, it's really a human experience.
Sure.
And though people out there in the audience may not be transgender, yet at the same time, we have fundamental issues about who we are, what's aligned with what we're really supposed to be doing, what's stopping that, and what can we do to actually get on track or go through our own self-discovery. So we might think those things are unique to a particular community, but But they're human issues, really.
Human issues, very much so.
Yeah.
And then, just our generation, we come from a time where, you literally your life could be at risk if you came out
Absolutely.
for who you are. You dealt with so much unbelievable prejudice, I'm sure, discrimination, I'm sure you went through your own kind of bullying and
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think in a way, I am one of those people because I was of that generation
Yeah.
that I suppressed who I was for a very, very, very long
That's often the
time.
case.
And undoing that, on the one hand, is spectacular and challenging because
Mhm.
it's that thought process, even though
Yeah,
to one's disadvantage, becomes so ingrained and
certainly.
becomes so second nature. And so, really, one of my mentors in hypnosis called this, it's like untying knots. Like, you ever heard the saying, I'm all tied up in
Oh,
knots?
yes.
So, in a way, as a practitioner, I help people just untie all these things that are kind of
I love
blocking them.
that.
And it
I love
gives
that
their own,
analogy.
and it gives their mind what? Choice to different ways to solve their issues.
I think that's a beautiful metaphor. I never
Mhm.
thought of it that way, being tied up in a tight knot. Because any of us who've ever had to undo a knot
Right,
know it can be complex,
right. Yeah, sometimes
in stages.
we can get caught in a mind loop and we don't even know that we're doing it because it's been around. It's kind of like that guest that won't go away.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you're not invited for dinner.
Well, right, right.
Yeah.
And also because you had to live a different identity, any of us have ever had to do that, it's like we're constantly lying to ourselves. We're not in our authenticity
Yes.
almost ever.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's a hard thing because that takes away from so much of who we are.
Right.
And at some point, if you're not true to who you are, it it takes a tremendous toll.
Of course.
It takes a tremendous toll on stress. It takes a tremendous toll on your psyche.
Yeah.
And at some point, it can be really unsustainable.
Yeah.
And so really for me, I what I truly believe, I believe your authenticity is the new currency in our world
I
today that we
love
have.
that.
Because what makes things work on, social media, it's kind of like the days of the old 80s and 90s sales techniques.
Yeah.
Those are like thankfully in the past.
Yeah.
Right?
Used car salesman approach.
Exactly. That's what we think.
Tell you what I'm going to do.
Right. But if you see the things on social media that really carry weight, it's like, here's,
Yeah.
here's my version of me, warts and all.
Exactly. Well, that's basically what we're doing with our channels, my channel, your channel. We both have the wonderful Debbie Brady coaching us
Right.
and managing us right now. And she keeps telling me this, and I know she's telling you, Chuck, just be authentic, be who you are. Don't try to be overly polished how you present yourself. People just want to see who we are,
Mhm.
real human beings. And so you're absolutely correct about that. That's our selling point. That's our
Right.
calling card, our authenticity.
Mhm. I could say there's a few funny things about my journey as being a transgender woman. So
Please.
having lived in two genders, so
Yes.
I can really talk into both. I can give advice to people on both sides
Oh,
of the
that
coin.
is phenomenal.
It's true. It's
Well,
true.
of course
Like,
that's true. I
when
never thought of that, but you're absolutely right.
if women have in a traditional hetero relationship, they're having
Mhm.
problems with their significant other. It's
Yeah.
like, well, let me give you a different point of view
Wow.
you might have not thought of,
I
or the other way around, which is preferably, it sounds like the overused guidance to men, which is like, listen, listen,
Yes.
and be connected and listen.
Mhm. That's a
Right.
big one for all of us, listening.
Mhm.
I used to take acting class with Dee Wallace. She said that's the single most important thing you can ever do is make it about your scene partner and just listen. Just
Mhm.
listen and be affected by them. And of course,
Mhm.
as a therapist, you have to take that to the grandest scale possible.
Yeah. I think it's another way. Well, if you've ever learned improv,
Yes.
so the word in improv is yes and.
Mhm.
No matter what somebody presents to you, it's yes and, but it's not yes but.
Mhm.
So whatever somebody offers, and so in a way, that's what, in a therapeutic environment, that's what you do. Yes, and
And
let's think about this a different way, or let's look at this, or what's going on that makes you feel that, or where are you feeling that? How are you feeling that? How have you experienced that? You know, so always, when we have kind of an inclusive language,
Mhm.
it's the same thing when you listen. It's like yes, and
Mhm.
just when you're performing, you
Mhm.
take whatever your partner gives you,
Mhm.
you add on to it.
And you build onto it.
Exactly.
Exactly. I want to say yes. And
Yes.
but just an observation I have right now because I've known you for so long. This is the happiest I've ever seen you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
because I see you in your purpose right now,
Mhm.
listening to you talk, you're in your purpose more than I've ever seen you in my whole life. We did an interview a few weeks ago, but
Sure.
this is our first
Well,
sit down like this.
it's our
And
first cozy sofa
cozy
talk.
cozy in my living room here on my
Right.
couch. Yeah.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we should all have this voyage where it's just like, you know what? I'm just really comfortable in my own skin, you know?
Yeah.
And
And that's what I see about you right now.
mhm.
Very comfortable.
And when we can offer that to other people, there's so many things we don't know that stops that
Mhm.
because of preoccupations, upbringings, contradictions, conflicts in society, or just challenges in the world. I
Yeah.
think one thing I'll talk into, like, especially nowadays with the political rhetoric right now, it's so challenging for LGBTQ people,
Yes.
and even
Yes.
more so for transgender
So
people.
vicious.
Yeah, so really it's like I don't want to give, there's a thing called the false positivity. It's like, no, I don't want to give that. What I do want to do is, yes, there's these things going on and they are very concerning.
Mhm.
For transgender people, there is over 650 anti-LGBTQ plus laws being passed throughout the nation.
That is horrifying.
It is.
In this era,
Yes.
2023, almost 2024, that could still be going on.
Yeah,
It's astounding.
so, a lot of people, that affects people's well-being.
Sure
It
it
affects
does.
their thoughts. It affects the idea of a future
Yeah.
or just even to exist.
Exactly. I know couples who fear their marriages could be dissolved overnight.
Right.
Hopefully enough has been put in place by Joe Biden to prevent that. I think that there was a law passed, but we're
Right.
going to have to see. But yeah, it's like civil rights are still being chipped away at. And it frustrates me because the purpose of civil rights is they're supposed to be expanded upon, not taken away.
Mhm.
It's so dysfunctional. It's so wrong. It's immoral, in my opinion.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
preaching to the choir,
Yeah,
as it
yeah,
were.
sure.
But I mean, fundamentally, it's a it's like the right to exist. I will give you my own personal example. I
Yeah.
have friends and events that I like to go to in Florida. Well, for myself, now if I go to a women's bathroom in Florida, I could be challenged. And the law, as it's written, says, well, I have to have a woman's DNA to use the women's bathroom.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
it comes with, very heavy legal penalties, second-degree felony.
Oh my God.
So what that is
Yeah.
a challenge to eliminate people from the public space. If you
Of course it
can't
is.
go to the bathroom, it's what do you
Well,
do?
well, exactly. That's
Yeah.
it's so insulting.
Yeah. So, a
Yeah.
lot is like I do help people with meeting these very real challenges.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's, life is enough as it is.
Yeah.
Just living life.
You're right. You're right.
It's enough. And you stack on all these other things on top of it. And
Yeah.
it can be too much.
Mhm. It can be. That's why I feel anyone going through this journey is incredibly brave. It takes a lot of
Yeah,
courage.
yeah.
It does.
I think my laugh was more, I do hear that one a lot. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct of going through the process. And I said, and if you talk to many people like myself, the response would be,
Yeah.
well, yes, and the courage was, there's courage and there's necessity.
Mhm.
And for me, I hit the point of necessity to be myself.
I remember that.
And at some point there's no, so the courage becomes a byproduct, which is just
Okay.
taking another step, taking
That's a
another
good point.
step, taking another step. And so it's like people will say, oh, you're so courageous. It's like, I didn't really have much choice.
Right.
I just had to, I was at that point in my life, I had to be myself.
Yeah.
And the same point, I think if I work with people, whether it be in group or one-on-one,
Yeah.
if I do group coaching or if I do group hypnosis or I do one-on-one, I want people to have, it's okay to do one step at a time. It's very
Sure.
empowering. Don't expect the big thing. What's the thing you can do right now?
Yeah.
Or sometimes it could just be being kind and holding space for yourself, finding love for yourself in a world of contradiction. Sometimes empowering people that way, it works miracles.
Oh, of course. I think just loving yourself.
That's a huge one,
That's
right?
a huge one. I think it took me until I was 50 years old before I could truly say I love myself. So I know how hard that one is.
Isn't that amazing?
And I talk to so many who still cannot bring themselves to really mean it when they say they love themselves.
Right.
So if you do nothing else for a person, I think that's one of the most important things ever.
It is.
But, and just hearing you talk, just the things you bring up, you make people feel respected.
Absolutely.
They're being listened to.
Yes.
And that in itself counts for a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us go through that, especially people who've been bullied, treated as outcasts. It's just that need to be acknowledged and to be respected for who they are.
Basic dignity as a human being.
Well, and also I'm sure you've dealt with many who have been humiliated throughout their lives. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And it was Oprah Winfrey. I brought this up in the last interview, I think, but Oprah Winfrey said that she considered humiliation the single worst thing you can ever do to someone, because you're kicking somebody right in their soul. You're kicking them in the essence of who they are, and you're invalidating them. So you're untying these knots, you're transforming, you're transmuting, you're bringing respect to people. You're getting people to love themselves, to be comfortable with themselves.
And I think the beauty, thank you. Yeah. And I think the beauty of that is the replies or the solutions people come up with. They're their solutions. And I can't predict any of it. It's like, let me tell you what to do. It never worked.
Yeah.
We know that never works, and that's not the way it works. But we as human beings are so resourceful, we don't even know it. We have so much creative thought. We have so much. And so and because in a way, I'll use two things as kind of a teaching tool, and it's through another education program that I've been to. It's kind of like the conscious mind, our regular conscious mind. It's kind of like the planner, right? Fills out our calendar, our appointments, our goals. Really good at doing that. Our unconscious mind, it's kind of the goal getter. So it's kind of like you give that dog a bone, it's going to go fetch it, as long as you make it the right bone to fetch. And the unconscious mind, it thinks in abstract, it thinks in metaphors, it thinks in all these wild and crazy things, and it doesn't matter. It's unique to a person. And in session, I've seen people come up with these, rashly speaking, crazy ideas about how to solve their issue. It's like, no, that's the resources within their soul. And then you bring that conscious, and it becomes new behavior.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So to me, it's exciting because I never know what it's going to be. I never know what is going to come out of a person.
That's often how I live my own life. It's that constant, the left brain, the right brain tending to be what you're describing, more abstract and thinking, more receptive to the ethereal. Left brain, as you said, like your planner, very logical. Net. These are the steps. I'm constantly trying to balance between the two because I'm an artist, I'm a creative person. So I tend to go a little too much into that right side of the brain. But I do find that
it's like back to reality.
But that's where I get so many of my greatest inspirations. I have things come out of nowhere that I never would have thought of in my conscious mind. That's why I keep journals. I have friends who are like-minded, and we will do checks and balances with each other. But that thrills me that you're doing this with your clientele. Yes, I was trying to think of the correct word for it. Clientele.
I would definitely use the word clientele.
Okay.
But I was thinking creative mind. Is there reading or anything?
Yes, anything.
I'm curious about your unconscious mind at work to see something about me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Such as the cards?
Yes.
Well, we did say we were going to do this here. We have not been looking here. Let's see. I'm trying to read comments here.
Debbie's saying Tawni's talking too much?
No. Francine Baker asked whether things will get better for the LGBTQ community in the next years in terms of government makers' oversights for protection as opposed to making it more difficult. Did I phrase that correctly?
Okay. First of all, thank you for the question. I think the amazing thing about our mutual communities is our resilience. And against all odds, we've been able to push things forward. So
Yeah.
that's for me. Yeah, to answer your questions, in my heart, I believe that. I don't know what that path exactly looks like. In my heart, I believe that. I believe that that's going to be happening because at some point, I think, especially for the people who are Gen Z, 20-somethings or voting age, they see things totally differently.
Yeah.
And so the issues that were huge issues for our generation, it's like for Gen Z, it's like, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So I really believe that, um, sometimes in this political spheres, we look for, funding and money and large advertising. But I think the key to this community is just that powerful resiliency that's existed. And that's what's been able to push the ball forward.
Yes. Well,
So that, and I think we have another question.
We have another question. Yes, Debbie's saying there's a reading for me to do. But before I do that, I think it's important because we want to promote your new channel. Is there anything that you would like to say to people about your channel?
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And so forth. And we haven't given you a chance to
Sure.
do that.
Well, we've kind of done welcome launch, and that I'm going to be covering two areas on my channel. One, yes, I will definitely be talking about my work, my profession, and having hints and help and various, even some meditations and things like that, and just various tools to have fun and kind of see how you could be effective in your life. And the other thing, I will juxtapose that with actually interviews of people that I know in community,
like we're doing right now.
Yes, exactly. Who are doing interesting work or who have just interesting narratives that are captivating. So, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of both, and we're going to see where it's taking. And then the real thing, soon. Hello out there. Soon I'll get to doing lives.
Yes. Well, this is only my 5th live.
Wow.
Well, or is it my 4th? Because I pre-recorded last week for Thanksgiving. But as I said to you before we went on the air, I said, I feel like I'm just making my mistakes in front of the whole world. Everybody gets to see me in all my infancy and all my little baby steps, as you were just talking about how we have to take things in steps. That's what we're doing, but it's all good. And I found people to just be so loving and supportive because I had a chance to talk with people who watched the show. And because I talked to Dr. Whimsy's clients, I'm her assistant. I work for her in that respect. I also do Taco Tuesdays with her on Tuesdays, of course. So I've had the good fortune of speaking with people, and I've had just the loveliest feedback and encouragement. That always means so much. So would you say we've covered what you would like to say?
Sure.
I did want to tell you one thing.
Sure.
You mentioned your meditations, and you had a video today about, let's see, what was it called? It was tools when triggered. Sure. I know we probably don't have time to go into it, but I loved it. You mentioned about how, I believe you said you can calm the central nervous system in about 12 seconds from things that trigger us. I've got to watch that again. In fact, I think I need to watch that every day because I tend to be high strung. I tend to get stressed, as our manager, Debbie Brady, knows. Sometimes before I go on live, I'm wigging out. But I loved it. And one of the things I noticed about you is how soothing and calming your voice. I was going to say was on the video, and of course is, but it's like there's something encoded in your voice that's healing and soothing and comforting. And I found that calmed me as much as anything.
Interesting.
So you should be doing a lot of these.
Okay, thank you. I think our voice does tremendous work, and even when we communicate with people, we communicate on different levels. And that really in part of practice, I'm communicating to you consciously and unconsciously.
I agree.
So
energetic communication.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of like, let's come into the nice little, whatever the metaphor, tropical ocean, the calm river, whatever is the metaphor of your mind, quiet Disney Hall. I don't know. Let's come into that. And then you create rapport with people. Yeah. And when you create rapport and communicate, then it becomes very, very effective. Because we all have different modes that we communicate with. And I think you communicate with the cards.
Well, I do, and you're wanting a reading, aren't you?
I'm so pushy, Chuck.
So I'm going to see if there's anything else here, any other questions. I think we've covered things. And how long have we been talking? We've been talking over half an hour now. Okay. So generally what I do is pull a couple of cards. Now, is there something you would like to ask?
Okay, I'll ask what most people. Okay, but what are the biggest? And it's like bluntly, it's like money, sex, and love. I don't know, and career. So I'll ask one. I want to have my next life partner. So I'll ask a question about that.
Oh, we're all looking for that one.
Yes.
Well, let's see what we get here. I'll pull 2. Family, Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, what is
Loss, that? Healer guides.
Oh, interesting.
The hit I'm getting from this, well, we can pull some more on this, but family, your community, your friends, whenever I see this card, you've got lots of love and support already around you. It's with you. Loss.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's interesting. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because I'm getting, see, I don't see this as a bad card. I'm getting the vibe that it's just loss of what has been superfluous in your life, what has no longer served you, which is, of course, prepared you for where you are right now.
Interesting.
And leadership. This is, to me, representational. I should be showing these cards.
Right.
I apologize. I'm so immersed in just being with her as a friend. I forget. I've got viewers out there. This is what the cards look like. And of course, leadership. This one is very clear to me. This represents your profession right now. What we have just been talking about for the last half hour, how you're taking people up to a place of ascension, up the ladder, the guardian angel above, Holy Spirit, leadership. This is very much telling me you're surrounded by community right now. You have shed a lot of superfluous, what no longer serves you. You're in leadership with your career. And
go ahead.
Unconditional love.
Wow.
Unconditional love. The vibe I'm getting here, you've got unbelievable sport right now. And of course, you have shed superfluous. You're in a marvelous career right now. You're in a position of leadership, and you're heading toward unconditional love.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty.
That's pretty much there.
That's pretty powerful.
I certainly don't have to tell you, the wonderful therapist, holding unconditional love for yourself is only going to serve as a mirror
to what
and a magnet to bring unconditional love. So I'm seeing that as something incredibly positive. And of course, this is just telling me circumstances here, but I think you're in a very good position to attract that true love into your life.
Oh, thank you, Chuck.
Does that sound good?
Sounds fabulous.
Okay, I think we covered that there then. And I don't see any more questions coming in here. And we certainly have exceeded the half-hour point because we've just been having a good time here. So I just want to thank all of you for joining me for another episode. Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, yes, Debbie reminded me. Please like and subscribe my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and
Tawni Acosta at Empowered Journeys.
Yes, please like and subscribe, both of us. And we just thank you so very much. And it said here I didn't read on the community. I didn't know I was supposed to read on the community.
I think that would be really good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let me shuffle my cards here. We're going to start over.
By the way, I like the Lucy story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have literally thousands of Lucy stories in my head. I worked on a book with Bart Andrews, the author of the I Love Lucy book, wrote a screenplay about the week Lucy was accused of being a communist. Unfortunately, Aaron Sorkin came up with his own version, and Little P on Me did not get that made, but I have done lots of research on Lucy. She is my passion. She is my love. But on the community, the LGBTQ community, the future, where we're heading, restriction. Okay, I think this card, restriction, is more or less reflective of what we've been talking about. All of these asinine laws that some idiot politicians are trying to put through. Yes, there are restrictions. I think that's undeniable. That's what that is showing. risk.
Ooh.
Risk. And of course, risk means taking challenges, being, as we said, being brave, being authentic to yourself, putting yourself out there. So yes, the community is going to have to keep taking risks because of these restrictions. A third card, intuition. Intuition, inner guidance. I take that to mean divine guidance. Almost spelled my cards there. Divine guidance, higher good, listening to that, trusting that, and letting it take you through the steps. And I feel that definitely applies to the community right now. Should I do one more card and just see what that says?
Sure.
Oh
dear, loss.
The loss card again. Okay, the hit I'm getting from this is, because we are talking about these crazy laws, new restrictions being passed, having to be fought. There are going to be battles where there will be loss. I certainly feel there are many to be won, but there probably will be some losses, some setbacks, just as we move forward. That's what it's saying. I want to do one more card on that. Now, this is a good one. Creativity. And I think this ties in very well with intuition. Creativity, it means going within, finding your power, finding your courage, using your talents, because we're talking about a very talented community of people.
Absolutely.
And I think that creativity is going to overcome this and prevail. And this is going to go a long way towards saving the community and helping the community to grow and proliferate and blossom. So that's our dear but beautiful friend. That's something to rejoice and celebrate in. You're gonna be just fine. You're gonna find your love. So do we have any other questions? Any other comments before we go? Whimsy, did you have anything you wanted to say? Or let's see here. Okay, I don't see more comments. So again, please like and subscribe our respective channels. I'm working on a